A warm good morning, my dear children. I am Sunil Kumar L, PGT English, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, Kannur, Kerala. This is a video lesson on your poem Childhood, taken from the textbook Hornbill. The main objective of this video lesson is to make you have the ability to appreciate the poem very well. And you should be able to infer the deeper meaning in the poem. At the same time, the learning outcome should be the first one, that you must have the ability to understand the poem while you read it. And the second learning outcome should be you must learn how to critically analyze this poem. And third learning outcome is that what are the poetic devices used in it. And the last but not least is how to read the poem with exact pronunciation and voice modulation. So the central theme of this poem is the lost childhood. The poem is written by the famous Norwegian poet Marcus Nathan. And he has been searching for his lost childhood. He can't fix it at any phase. So he searches here and there. Where does it go? He wants to know. And childhood is a period all of us know. It's the golden period of a human's life. Take for example the famous romantic writer William Wordsworth says about childhood, child is the father of the man. Take example of Mahatma Gandhi, his autobiographical book, My Experiments with Truth. Most of his experiences are filled with his childhood experiences, his childhood life. So, childhood is a memorable period of each and every human being. So, we have to explore the theme of childhood. I want to expose you the theme of childhood. I am going to do it through two steps, two brave and brilliant steps. Whether it is what or not, that you have to decide. Anyhow, I am going to display the theme of childhood through simple two steps. First, let us watch some lofty words about this childhood. A few quotations. Let us go and read and come back for the second session. And in the second session, I will give you a short video clipping. Through these two steps, I would like to expose the theme of childhood before you. Okay, now let us move. Look at the quote here. There are no 7 wonders of the world in the eyes of a child. There are 7 million. Most of us travel around the world to watch the 7 wonders. But if we look into the eyes of a child, we can see millions of wonders. That is what Walt Straitiff says. Look at the next one. Life is weird. First you wanna grow up, then you wanna be a kid again. This is the mystery of life. When we were children, we wanted to become grown up. And once we become grown up, we want to become the children. Look at the third. Sometimes the smallest things take up the most room in your heart. Yes, it's true. If we consider the memories, the collection of experiences in our life, we have to go back to our childhood. For childhood memories, we gave the better part of our heart in every corner, in every nook and corner of our heart. We filled these places with our childhood memories. Childhood is an unforgettable experience for most of us. Different people consider it in different ways. For the poet Marcus Norton, it's a nostalgia. He travels through different ways to find out the exact ways where he has lost his childhood. But a few other people, they consider childhood as an influential period in their life. Take for example, the famous Indian cricketer Sachin Tendulkar. I will show you one video clipping of Sachin's. You simply watch it, enjoy it, and after that, I will ask you some questions. You have to comment on it. Then we can discuss what is the childhood influence that happened with this god of cricket. Let us go and watch the video.
Practical joke. Oh, that's close. Too much bounce. Too much bounce. Hitting it back. Oh, he's given him. Oh, no.
Gotcha, Sachin.
It's a dreadful decision. That is a dreadful decision. Have a look at this. Just watch the movement and then the bounce.
It's obviously very high. Stranger, I think everybody just let it pause and let it go. Everyone just thought he was going to be too high and say not out, but suddenly the finger came up.
Flintoff, what a ball! Tendulkar cannot believe he's been given that playing goal, but he has been on 99. He simply smiles. I think he'll say it hit his arm. Fantastic cricket by Flintoff, whether the decision is right or wrong. You have to feel for Tendulkar. He's got a real rough one.
Was an explosive delivery by Flintoff, and it has been an exquisite display by Tendulkar. He's shown a real mastery of the art of batting today. 180 for 2 in the end.
Now here's Tendulkar on 99. There's the appeal from Flintoff. There's the roar from the crowd, and there's the response from Tendulkar. Disbelief, disgust probably. And now sorrow.
Have you watched the video? So your question is, what was the comment that we heard from the commentatory box during his second out. Yes, all of you have clearly heard it. Sachin accepted the out with a smile. Not only for the first time, during his entire career, he was got out because of the umpire's wrong decisions 39 times. But not even a single time he stood in the crease and protested the decision of the umpires. That is Sachin's character. For this character, he owed much to his childhood and to his father. Sachin, in such a way, represents the Indian character to the world. When we have to face some disputes with our neighbors or some other foreign countries, the entire world stands with us because they know Indians are like this. The Indian character is this. It is not only in the games field, everywhere. We keep our dignity as an Indian. We are honest. We are innocent. We are rightful people. So we can clearly say that this Sachin is not only the god of cricket, he is also the god of Indian character. Now let us move on to the sentence that he dedicated in his autobiography to his father and the great influence he had of his childhood. Let us move. Sachin Tendulkar, Playing It My Way. It's his autobiography. In this book, he wrote one sentence about his father. As a man, as a cricketer, as a professional, all the world respect Tendulkar. It is because of his good character. And one sentence that his father reminded him when he wanted to play cricket, that changed Tendulkar to a good character. Let us go to that sentence and see it. He wrote, "If you remain humble, people will give you love and respect even after you have finished with the game. As a parent, I would be happier hearing people say, Sachin is a good human being, than Sachin is a great cricketer any day." These words Sachin Tendulkar says about his father. Children, why do I bring this example before you? It is simply to show that childhood would influence people in a different way. Its impact that we can't neglect at any stage of our life. So, before we go to understand the poem completely, we should have an awareness about this childhood and its impact on some people, like in our life also. So, now I give you one exercise. What you have to do is write one of your favorite childhood memories and share it with your entire class. You can write it in the form of a poem, a story, or something like an essay. Will you do it? Okay. Now we can go to the explanation part of the poem. Before we moving on to the poem, let me give you a short introduction about the author. Marcus Nathan is a poet from Norway. Details of his life are very sketchy, so it is unclear when and where he was born. Mind the word sketchy here, which means roughly laid down. Laid down or hastily laid down. It is unclear. That is what we have to know about the author. Now, the introduction. In the poem Childhood, the poet ponders deeply over the question of his lost childhood. So, this poem is about the deep thoughts of the poet about the question of his lost childhood. He recalls a number of stages when his thoughts and perceptions about the world and people changed. So he here clearly calculating the stages where his perceptions and the thoughts about the world and the people began to change. He tries to identify that one particular stage or time when he lost his childhood and stepped into adulthood. That was his attempt. He wanted to find any one particular stage or time, at which point or at which time that he has lost his childhood. He feels a sense of nostalgia for the lost childhood and finally settles down with an idea that his childhood has gone to some forgotten place, and that place could only be found in an infant's face. So he comes to the conclusion that childhood is the privilege of a child. Nobody can claim on this childhood. Now let us move on to the poem, the text. Now let me read the poem for you. Childhood, written by Marcus Nathan. When did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in the geography and therefore could not be? Was that the day? Where did my childhood go? Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? They talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. Was that the day? When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine? To use whichever way I choose, producing thoughts that were not those of other people, but my own and mine alone. Was that the day? Where did my childhood go? It went to some forgotten place. that's hidden in an infant's face. That's all I know. Look at the first stanza. When did my childhood go? Was it the day I ceased to be 11? Ceased here means completed. He completed the age of 11. So, age of 11 is a transitional period for many of us. At this age, we move from childhood to maturity or childhood to adolescence. Some physical and psychological changes that appear in humans at this age. So, biologically, this is the age of the beginning of teenage biological transition, physiological transition, and psychological transition that starts at the age of 11. Come to the next. Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven could not be found in geography? Then he begins to think that this hell or heaven, hell or heaven could not be found in geography because they are not real things, they are not existing anywhere. Look at this picture. Is hell real? That is his rational thought when he crossed a certain time of his life. Whether these things are true or not, the gates of hell, people talk about these things, but in reality, he couldn't find anywhere these things. Now, could not be found in geography. The hell or heaven he could not found in geography and therefore could not be. Many people think that, look at this picture of heaven. We give different shapes and designs to hell and heaven because they are not real. Look at another picture. A flowery stair that moves upwards towards heaven. These are our imaginations regarding the heaven. But the poet can't find these things in any geography book. So he starts doubting its existence. He acquires the faculty of rationality. Was that the day? So here the poet says us about the beginning of rational thinking in him. When he starts thinking rationally and he realizes that most of the things explained to him are not real, is that the day that he has lost his childhood? The poet doubts. Look at the second stanza. When did my childhood go? The poet repeats the same question because he doesn't find a definite answer for his query. Was it the time I realized that adults were not all they seemed to be? So the poet begins to realize the world of the adults, their hypocrisy. What they do and what they preach, he sees certain mismatches. Look at the next line. What they talked of love and preached of love, but did not act so lovingly. So he sees a huge difference between their words and deeds. Earlier, he has full trust, belief in the adult world. But gradually that starts diminishing because he realizes the adult world is not as it seems. He realizes the undercurrents, the fake faces of the adult world. Let us go to one picture, dual face of the adult world. A picture can speak 100 times stronger than words. This symbolic picture that represents the duality of the adult world. When the poet grows up, he realizes this face of the adults. He thinks this may be the time when he has lost his childhood. He asks himself, is it the day? Look at the third stanza. When did my childhood go? Was it when I found my mind was really mine? So he realizes that his mind is his own and he can use whichever way he wishes. He starts producing thoughts that were not those of other people but my own and mine alone. He starts producing thoughts of his own and there is no influence of other people. Look at this picture. The poet has acquired the faculty of producing thoughts of his own, a new individuality that comes over him. So he doubts, is that the time that he has lost his childhood? At one side, he laments over his lost childhood, and at the same time, on the other hand, he has certain gains that he has acquired the faculty of self thinking and analyzing things. He is no more biased. He is no more influenced by the people around him. Look at this. So, individuality that gives him his own thoughts, his own feelings. He is no more influenced by the thoughts of other people. And now he is non-biased. He doubts whether this is the phase where he has lost his childhood, lost his innocence, lost his simplicity. Even though the poet here laments over the loss, at the same time he gives us the message that certain gains there. What are the gains here? He gains to think or to produce his own thoughts, his own emotions, and he is no more controlled by the people around him. That is the gain the poet or we as humans acquire during this phase change. Now let us move on to the last stanza of the poem. Where did my childhood go? So a little change in his question. Till now he has asked, when did his childhood go? Now he asks, where did his childhood go? Look at the second line. It went to some forgotten place. And he can't even remember which place that his childhood has gone. That's hidden in an infant's face. He can only say it could be found in an infant's face. That's all I know. Even though he searches for his lost childhood, he can't get it back. So the poet at the bottom line of the poem establishes the fact that childhood is the privilege. Childhood is the privilege of a child. Nobody can put any claim on it. Another referential meaning here is it is the common belief that the abode of an infant is heaven. Look at the picture of this child. Can we say that his abode is not the heaven? Yes, each human comes from the abode of heaven where the God dwells. It is the common belief that a child's home is heaven. He comes from heaven to earth. As he comes here, he has the heavenly qualities in him. But gradually, that heavenly qualities begin to shed from him. He became mundane. He became worldly. Once he begins to mingle with us. So the poet searches here that lost heavenly quality. And finally he comes to the conclusion that it can be found only in an innocent face of an infant, because he is so close to heaven. So childhood is a heavenly quality. That is what the poet wants to convey through this poem. With this, I am going to wrap up the explanation part of this lesson. And the next session is, let us look the poetic devices used in the poem. Let us move. Look at the poetic devices used in this poem. First we can check the rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme. The rhyme scheme of a poem can be found out with checking the ending sounds of each stanza. Look at the underlined sounds here. Go. It's A. 11. N sound. We can represent it with B. And again N. B. And geography E sound. So we can give here the letter of C. And here also B, E sound. We can represent it with the letter C. And here a new sound, so we can give it as D. So the rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, C, D. In the same manner, you can find out the rhyme scheme of the second and the third and fourth stanzas. Look at the repetition of the lines. When did my childhood go? When did my childhood go? When did my childhood go? So, if a line repeats like this in a poem, we call it refrain. The poetic device of refrain. But at the same time, you look at here. They talked of love and preached of love. The word love is repeated here. So here the poetic device of repetition is used. Look at the third line. Was it the time I realized that hell and heaven, these are opposite ideas. So, if opposite ideas are presented within a single line, we call it antithesis. The poetic device of antithesis is used here. At the same time, we can see in the same line that to, the time, and hell and heaven, the consonant sounds, repetition of consonant sound in a line. It is called alliteration. It is called alliteration. And these are the major poetic devices that used in the poem.